It's Judy on the radio, building dreams and achieving more, telling it just like it is. Most of all, keeping it real. Are you ready for real talk? Changing lives and communities. Real talk. Saving all our families. Real talk. Bringing hope for you and me. Real talk. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio. Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio.
Well, good morning and welcome to the Real Talk with Judy show. I am Dr. Judy, your Real Talk host, and I want to thank you for tuning in to this empowering, inspiring, motivating, helping leaders and women and family to see that it is possible, to see that what is possible, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, it is possible. So we thank you so very much. So we thank you so very much for tuning in. And because we believe if you never see it, if you don't see it before you see it, you would never see it. So we want to thank you again for tuning in to the Real Talk with Judy show. This beautiful Tuesday morning here in Tallahassee, Florida, January the 17th, 2023, right here on the Stellar Award-winning nominated show, Hallelujah 95.3 FM. You're viewing us by way of Facebook Live, YouTube, and the Hallelujah app. To all of our outside of Tallahassee guests, thank you all so very much for tuning in. I appreciate you so very, very much. And we are thankful that you have chosen to join us. I want you to go ahead while we're putting this together, while we're doing our greetings. And you all know I have to greet my mom because I am truly thankful that she's still here and in good health and doing well. I want you to go ahead and share and tag. I already know this show is going to bless you. And I want you to tag leaders or tag those who will be future leaders or those who think they're leading. Today's show is going to empower, it's going to impact, going to inform you. So go ahead while I'm greeting my mom and my husband and those, go ahead and tag them, call them, invite them to come on in. All right. And so again, I thank God for my mama, Mother Dr. Irma Hunter Wesley, who is the reason I am. I thank God y'all continue to keep her in your continued prayers. We're looking, if the Lord say the same, that she will celebrate her 84th birthday. If the Lord say the same, and so we're looking for him to say the same. We hope that it's his will. To my amazing husband, Superintendent Jeremy Andrea, who is the reason I get to do what I do. I truly thank God for him. To my amazing production team, led by the one and only Ms. Priscilla John Louis, and to everyone, all of the business partners and those who, the individual partners, those who have joined in. I am so thankful for you. So thankful for you, to Minister Howard, making her one of my number one primary marketing person for this show. Thank you, Minister Howard. And so today, let me say this, it's not too late for you to become a partner. I would like to invite you all to join 2023 as an investing partner into the Real Talk with Judy live radio show. Okay, because the mission of the show is to empower, inspire, motivate, enlighten, awaken, and to help you, especially my sister girls, to see your possibility, your God-given vision, even clearer than you do right now, and then to cause you to go for it. Okay, you have a support system in the Real Talk with Judy live radio show that will help you to release your potential, to connect with others who've done what you've done or who are doing it now and can give you some real insight into building and releasing what you want to do. Listen to this. Every third Tuesday of the month, I'm going to have lunch and learn session. That's right. I'm going to have the leadership lunch and learn session every third Monday of the month. Leaders building and strengthening, building leaders and strengthening leaders. And today is my very first session. And I could think of no person that I would rather have to start this. And this is not going to be his first time, his only time here during the year. You will see him several times as he empowers and impact and lead us into that. Okay, he don't know that part. I just said that part, but he's going to be here. And the reason being, he's one of my mentors, and God has blessed him, and you're going to hear it. But it's none other than Bishop Derrick McRae, senior pastor of the Experience Christian Center in Orlando. He first answered his call in 1997, became a licensed minister in the Church of God in Christ. I want you to hear this. He served as a youth pastor for 2 prominent ministries in Central Florida. Listen to this, which afforded him the opportunity to serve, learn, lead, and grow ministry. We're going to talk about that. And that role served as a launch pad for not only his ministry, but his business and entrepreneurial endeavor. Presently, the Experience Christian Center, where he pastored, is the church home to over 1,600 members and continues to grow at a phenomenal rate. In 11 short years, under the leadership of Bishop McRae, he has proudly served over 148,000 community members through various outreach efforts. Okay, I just want you to understand who I'm about to bring on. These will be the caliber of people who will help me, help you increase your leadership. And throughout his life and ministry, he has demonstrated a caliber of leadership and insight beyond his years. Recognized as an instructor, preacher, lecturer, motivational speaker, church growth coach, mentor, talk show host, drummer, radio personality, choir director, and business owner, Bishop Derrick McRae is an anointed man of God whose voice calls for national and global leadership that enhances the quality of all people. Okay, and he has so much. He served on so many boards, and he is an impact in Orlando. He is a doting husband to Lady Taja C. McRae and the father of 2 sons and a daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, Bishop Derrick L. McRae.
What's going on? How are you?
What's up, Bishop?
I'm doing good, doing good. New year, new things. So things are already progressively happening quickly.
Well, with you at the helm, what do we expect? All right. Right. I mean, God has blessed you, man. And you know, I love talking with you because you're one of those leaders that which do not mind helping others. You're not intimidated. That's going to be something down the street, but you're not intimidated. You share everything you know.
Yeah, I try to share what I know. I always subscribe to this model that the moment that you're able to wring out your sponge, you can be filled back up again. And many individuals get all of this knowledge, they get soaking wet, but they never wring. And if you never wring, it means you have literally gone to your extent because you're already filled up.
Wow. You know, and so y'all, this session is called Leadership 101. So every third Tuesday, I'm going to have lunch and learn with leaders. Lunch and learn with leaders every third Tuesday. And I'm sure you heard me, Bishop, say without your knowledge that I'm going to have you back many times.
I heard you. I have no problem with it. I love coming on.
I'm going to have you back many times because I know you have something to give. And you just said something. If we never wring out that sponge as leaders, we can never be filled back up. I like that because one of the things that and we're just gonna, you already done probably peeked into my notes, being a prophet, man of God, prophetic one of God. But Bishop, one of the things that's important that you just said, I want you to elaborate a little bit more, because sometimes leaders tend to hold on and not want to ring out. But you are one that I know that forever learning. You yourself, as great as a leader, as accomplished as a leader, as all the leaders you have birthed, you're still learning yourself. Tell us
Yeah.
how, as we start this, tell us how important that is.
Yeah, leadership, well, actually, the growth of a leader never ends. When you stop growing as a leader, you really should resign as a leader. When you stop growing, you should resign,
Wow.
because you don't have anything that speaks to the population of now. When you stop growing, you're literally saying, I have nothing to speak to the population of now. So leaders should always be growing. You should always be evolving. And a leader should never be shy or afraid. You should never be timid about releasing what you have. A lot of times what I found is when leaders are timid about releasing what they know, it's because they're not confident in their abilities to perform what they see. And so when you are confident in your abilities to do, you never have a problem with releasing, understanding that what God gives to you and what you're supposed to be, it always, it will always manifest itself. What God gives to you, you don't have to be intimidated. It's what God gave to you, and He's equipped you and empowers you. And this is a season that we have to stop being leaders who need confidence. We got to stop being leaders who need confidence. We need to recognize who we are. We don't need validations from the pews or the people. We don't, if it's your business, you don't need validation. I had a candid conversation this Sunday, past Sunday at my church. And I told my church that I had to, first of all, repent to them because I had grown my team so large that I had lost myself in the growth. I
Wow.
literally became lazy. I had become a little standoffish. And the Lord said, He reminded me to be reminded of the you in the vision, reminded of the Derrick in the vision. He began to tell me, He says, I will send runners. But notice that the runners in the text are never identified. They're just runners. But the visionary is identified. And a lot of us, we've grown so much that we need to really work this year to somewhat shrink our circles so we can make sure that it's doing what God has called us to do, and not taking on the spirit of those who surround us. Sometimes we are surrendering the vision and surrendering the task that God has given to us to those who come to assist us. The assist does not mean the lead. And that's a hard place because we're dealing with a population and a culture
Wow.
that is so strong on knowing what they know, doing what they want to do. And we have to be careful that why they have skills, why they are very intelligent, why they have great attributes, it's still just one leader, and who God gave the vision to, that still has to be birthed. With all the talents and the gifts, you still need what God gave to you to still be birthed. And so that's kind of where I'm resting right now in my life and my career right now.
Yeah. And so Bishop, I mean that you man, you're saying so much. And I know people are taking notes already. Evangelist McBride, Danette told me that she still have a lot of notes she keep right at the front of her desk when we were on last year. Because so many things were stated last year. One of the things that you stated is that we're going to have to we have to continue to train. We have to continue to increase ourselves because we have to be relevant to now.
Yes.
As leaders, we have to be relevant to now. And we can't lose ourselves by depending on the assistance that God has given to us to run the vision. So those are two things. We have to be relevant to now. And Bishop, today, this is Leadership 101. And the reason being, I'm seeing so many leaders or so many people who have been placed in position of leadership who are not equipped. You know, if they very well may be a leader for that position or that place, but they haven't been equipped.
Yeah.
They haven't even been trained enough to recognize the now of what's needed. Could you speak to that? And I know that would you speak to that, Bishop?
Sure. You know what's amazing is sometimes we are trained, but sometimes we're not trained for now. So sometimes we have certain things that have brought us to where we are, but we have not invested enough to take us to where we're going.
Okay.
And a lot of individuals are struggling with the new destination because they still have old information. They have not walked into the newness of their now. So now they have wasted opportunities because of the fact that they can see it on them and they know their skill set, they know their giftings, but they don't have their guidance. They have not developed, they have not invested back into themselves in order to be there. I recently got back into school. And so now I'm in school at Virginia Union University, Samuel D. Proctor School of Theology. And as I'm here, I'm being expanded again. You know, here I am thinking I know ministry. And I think one of my key advantages in ministry is marketing. But then I get into this class. I'm in a new Christian education class. I'm in this Christian education class, and as I'm in this class, my professor starts teaching us about Christian education. And my professor said, introduce us to what you know as Christian education. You know, so it's literally like 45 pastors on this class together. And we all jump into the norms, you know, Sunday school, BTU. We jump into YPWW for those as Kojic. We jump into Sunday morning services, the sermon that comes forth. And he said, all of those are great. He says, give me an unconventional Christian education platform. And we all begin to struggle. So he taught us that Christian education is the member now who says, wow, Pastor Judy preached a house down Sunday. And then 2 hours later, posts up a picture or a video of them twerking. That's Christian education. So it's teaching us how things are shifting and changing, that if you're only going by Christian education being Sunday school, you've missed a whole generation of people who have now other facets that they're learning what the church is about or what you say you mean. So we got to expand our minds to see, how does social media play into this? How does still Sunday school play into this? How does flyers, because some people are still doing flyers. If flyers is your form of marketing, you're not marketing anymore. People are scrolling past your flyers now. So it's a lot of things to see that you got to keep updating yourself.
Wow. And oh, I mean, you are really working my mind here. Like that professor in your Christian education class doing you. So Bishop, I'm hearing it is the responsibility, would you say, of the visionary to help keep leaders. And y'all, as we're talking, it's not just about the church. What we're talking here now will help you holistically, I believe, in every area of your life.
Yeah.
So it is the responsibility of that leader, of that visionary, to make sure that the people around him or her that has been placed in position, or that you see the leader within them, to make sure that they're on the right track, and then to encourage them to grow themselves?
Definitely so. I think that you got to surround yourself with people who want to be better. So
Wow.
if you're thinking about top tier leadership, I think the failure of us in the past has been, we've been so concerned about accomplishing a task or an event that we haven't been concerned about advancing the mindset and the skill set. So again, we've been so concerned about the task and the event. We want to pull this event off good. Sometimes there's a danger to being good at something. Sometimes there's a danger at pulling off a good function, because that good function gives now a new hunger and a thirst for the population that received it to say, what's next? And some of us are failures because we were only good for what we did and weren't good for what we were doing. And you got to be good for what you're doing. You got to keep developing, keep investing back in. You got to keep expanding yourselves. So here you are, you pull off a great sermon, right? You pull off a great sermon. When you pull this great sermon off, oh my gosh, the church is slain. But you have studied all your life for one sermon. So what happens now when you get an invitation? Because all you have is one good sermon.
One good sermon.
So you need more than one good sermon. You need a series of study habits that helps you pull good sermons. And a lot of us, we did one good event. I mean, like, oh my gosh, your concert was packed out. So the concert is packed out, but what's your system? Are you ready for the next concert? Like, can you go to another city and do another show? You know, or would the people from that city tell the last city exactly what you did? So, you know, you got to always be evolving to what's next. Like, believe that your success is going to open a door for you more. The Bible says it like this. You've been faithful over a few things. Now come and let me allow you to be ruler over many. It shows that the reward of success is not rest. And I think that's what you got to rest in. The reward of success is not rest. The reward of success is more. And many of us are not equipped for more. We're just happy that we finally did the last. And that's why we find that leadership, it draws out, people start getting bored. They want to go different places. You want to start rebuking them because of the fact that you feel like, oh, you're not appreciative. It's not that they're not appreciative. They've just outgrown your last level of success. And as leaders, you got to keep growing with the people that are growing. Yeah. That's what I say to that.
Whoo, Bishop. Yeah, I mean, and that's what it's all about. I was listening to Bishop John Wade out of Panama City, and he was saying that a lot of people get intoxicated with their past success.
Yeah,
so they're so drunk into their past success, and to your point, they're not saying what's next. What's next? He said every time you accomplish something, your question in the midst of developing that something should be what's next. He said, so as you're preparing, as you're leading, it should always be what's next. Then the next question is what's next? What's next? And so as leaders, we should be developing ourselves and getting a hunger for what's next. As visionary, we must look at who we're serving and make this thing what's next.
Yeah, we got to always have a next mentality. Have a now accomplishment, but a next mentality. I'll say that again. A now accomplishment, but a next mentality. We got to always be looking to see how, okay, God, why did you do this? He didn't just do it to do it. Everything that he does, every miracle that he performed was always to lead people to something. Every time he performed, it was not just to say, I can do it. It was to expand mentality. It was to grow people. It's to encourage other individuals. It was to empower other individuals so they can do something next. When we really talk about leadership, and here's one of the biggest failures that I found in the past. I grew up in the church. You know this better than anybody else in the world. And so I grew up in the church. One of the failures of sometimes in growing up in the church is leaders did not always have the confidence that they would succeed. So when they do, they didn't believe the product in which they were producing would empower another population to do something good, if not greater. And then we become intimidated with the growth of the vision that we just performed.
Wow.
We become intimidated. It becomes too much for us because every level of growth is going to require expansion. Every level of it. When you grow to it, you got to figure out how to expand. You know, when I started my church, I had 22 people. I could pastor all 22 easily. I could call everyone I'm on the phone. It was easy. I could stop by their houses if I needed to. It was easy. Today, I can't do that no more. So I had to figure out how to take a step back from being the pastor, and I had to make 5 other pastors in my church. And then I had to give them permission to lead in my spirit. It's growth. So my growth required my expansion. And many of us want to grow because that means that we're seen, but we don't want to expand because we're still dealing with intimidation factors, insecurities. And it's a dangerous thing to be an insecure leader. You got to figure out that your leadership is large enough that God can send you qualified agents to help you fulfill the task that's on your table. And we have to put ourselves into positions for that.
How do we become leaders that's not intimidated by greater leaders?
Stay on top of your game. Stay on top of your game. If you stay on top of your game, you don't have to be intimidated.
Come on,
Like,
Pastor.
how about if I keep investing in me, I'm not intimidated by the person who's investing in them.
Come on, Bishop.
You're growing and I'm growing. We should all be growing together. So we tend to watch this.
Wow.
Here's a phrase I always say: success is simply, tradition is simply frozen success. So it worked. Watch this. You see church buildings right now that look like frozen success. Church buildings right now, packed. They used to be jam-packed in the 80s. And right now you can come in and preach on a Sunday morning as a visitor because ain't nobody in there. It's because of the fact that there was a model that worked that they refused to evolve into the model that's working. And because they stopped working with the model that worked, the generation that knew it began to die off, and the generation that was discovering had nothing to receive from. So now we're finding that something that used to work, that's why we built it. That's why we could afford to build it, because it used to work. It just don't work no more. But stubbornness of the leader, because you don't want to expand. You don't want to grow. You don't want to develop. You don't want to invest back into yourself. You don't want to stretch your minds. You don't want to enlarge your territories. You don't want to include people that you don't know. Because of these insecurities, now we're stuck with the memory of how good we used to be.
Wow.
And a lot of leaders are dealing with how good we used to be. Like, let me say this, Pastor Judy, and this is something that people are afraid to say. Effective leadership is also knowing that you're not going to lead.
Yeah.
Effective leadership is knowing that, you know what, I ain't going to be in this seat always.
Come on.
So how about leading to lead somebody else to lead? Leading to lead somebody else to lead. I'm already thinking about who my successor is for this church. Already. I'm like, yo.
And a lot of people don't do that. They won't train their success, and they know who the success is. They know who the successor is. They know where they can be. But now you got to take the time to train them, and you got to invest in them, and you can't be afraid if you got the wrong one. You can't be afraid to say, "Well, I thought you were the one, but you're not." But train them, a plethora of them, so they can know. Pour into your leaders. Pour. You can't be afraid to pour. Jesus trained, like to your point, Jesus trained those disciples.
Mm-hmm. He definitely did.
Trained them. He showed them how to do this. He showed them how to handle it. Go ahead.
The quote says, "A leader is best when people barely know that he or she exists. When his work is done, their aim is that now the team will say, we did it ourselves." That's an effective leader.
Wow.
When the team says, we did this ourselves. What an amazing job. So, as leaders, gone is that day of hierarchical leadership.
Yes.
That day is gone. As a leader now, we got to make sure that we are now having what I call mutual exchanges.
Mm-hmm.
So I come with vision, but I also receive input, mutual exchanges.
Yes.
If you're going to lead in today's population, you got to make sure you got the mutual exchanges, and you got to be comfortable with this. You got to be comfortable with God sending you good individuals. Like, for what's going on right now, you don't need available people. You need highly qualified people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the way our world is working. You don't need just people who show up. You need people who can show out on your team. You need highly qualified individuals to sit with you and to help buffet your conversations and your thoughts. You need that. Yes. And that does not speak against the leader. It actually validates the leader. It speaks to the fact that you're so gifted that you can gather people who are gifted.
Yes.
And there's not a lot of leaders in the nation that can stomach gathering gifted leaders.
Right.
Most have to be the best, the biggest, and the brightest. And that's not functioning no more. Like society is not even adapting to that anymore. You got to be one who is willing to bring in people, here it is, and invest into the ones you bring in. Like, be willing. Now, there's a whole different discussion that's happening also right now, if we're going to be honest with the conversation, that it's a dangerous of fear sometimes of investing because there's no sense of loyalty in our nation. Right. So therefore, we also have, people that come along, tag along, only to do their own thing, and sometimes trying to diminish what you're working on. Y'all, okay, that's a whole different discussion there.
Oh, because Bishop, and see, that's what I want. I mean, you're coming to Tallahassee this year because we're doing this boot camp leadership again. And one of the things, Bishop, that leaders have to understand, everybody who comes to be a part ain't necessarily coming to be a part.
That's right.
They would laugh at you, they would kiki, but if you're not discerning and you're not talking and you're not getting it, and you can't let people, as a visionary, you can't be afraid to set standards of how people speak and honor you and respect you, even if they're your mama.
Yeah.
There's a certain respect, but then you have to be so careful that you don't bring the snake in, dressed as a sheep.
This is a relational type of season right now.
Yes.
I had a situation that happened with me, and the situation that happened with me, it really hurt me real bad. And the lesson that I learned from my hurt, because every hurt has a lesson. So the lesson I learned from my hurt was grow and send out from within. Grow, send out from within. Don't just grab because it's a talent. Grow, send out from within. It's a relationship-driven mentality. And I think this is where we are in life. We got to get back into having a relationship-driven mentality, that we're growing people from inside, that we're sending people out from inside, but we got to invest in them. You got to put some money down there. You got to put some mandates. Like, why is it that everything else in life that we see has continued educations? Everything. You can't be a school teacher today without continuing education. Right. You can't work in the engineering industry without continuing education. You darn sure can't be in the medical profession without a continued education.
Right.
And so we need to put these standards and these requirements, stipulations upon our people as well, that there is a continued ed requirement to serve at the level of your operations.
I agree. Oh man, that is awesome. And I know, Bishop, what is the difference when you had 22 people and now you have 1,600 or more? What is the difference in your leadership? Because you started in leadership actually you started prior to that, because you stated in your bio that you served at two prominent ministries in Orlando, but you learn from there. Let's talk about that, serving where you are to learn, because you see greater vision for where you're going.
The first thing at my first church, Church of God in Christ Church, Malone, my home church I grew up in, serving there, to be honest with you, I knew that it was a mantle on me. I just didn't know I wasn't going to function it there. All right. Okay. So I served it. I learned there, but I've always been one to give everything I can to the place that I am. So I gave 180% to that location, serving that church faithfully, doing things that were not on my job description. So I did those things. The Lord had it for me to shift that location to go to this Baptist church in the city that I knew nobody really at. I went to this Baptist church. The Lord told me while I was there, but watch this. I had grown from my home church to really have a relationship with God, to understand that my steps were ordered. I literally went to the Baptist church and told the pastor of the church, hey, the Lord told me I'd be here 6 years. I didn't know what I was saying. I just said it. The Lord told me I'd be here 6 years. He snickered at it and said, oh, I understand. And he put me into place. We start functioning. 6 years to be exact. The Lord says, leave. It's time to go. So I served there again, doing things that were not on my job description, just serving. But not only was I serving, but I understood that every place I went was designed for me to grab. It's some stuff I'm supposed to learn. And I believe that today that our ministry is successful because I also was a very good steward of other people projects and their ministries. I didn't treat nobody else's ministry as if it ain't mine in the first place. I treated it as if it was mine. I gave them the support that I always wanted. And I believe seed time and harvest goes so much further than tithe and offerings.
Yes.
I believe it also goes into activities. And I think because I serve so well, and it's somebody may say, you cocky to say you serve so well. No, I can really do an evaluation and I'll give myself a 10 on both locations, because I woke up with another man's vision on my heart, saying, Lord, help me to help him accomplish what's on his heart. And because I did those things, I found that God has really given me the same thing back. And that's what I think is absent in today's generation. We're not waking up with nobody else's vision on our heart.
Come on.
We're waking up with our own agendas, trying to see, here it is. We don't trust God for mobility and for progression. We trust ourselves. That's why we have to be dogmatic, and we have to be a very crabbish, because we don't trust God to order our steps. And so I trusted God from day one, and I trusted God, and that he navigated me through some stuff that created vulnerabilities in my heart. I didn't know what pastoring is going to be, but I was vulnerable. Well, I was scared. I didn't know how this was going to work. I didn't know if anybody's going to ever walk behind me and follow me. I didn't know none of those things, but the Lord created space in my life for me to become vulnerable to him. And because I kept giving it back to him, he kept giving me everything that I think I needed, because I kept giving it back to him. And that's what leaders have to do. You got to be vulnerable with God in this season of your life in order for you to see the progressions of God, because he's never going to give you something that you can write him out of. God ain't ever giving you something that you can write him out of. He's going to give you something to create space for himself with you.
Yeah. This is, so again, leaders, listen, make sure that where you're serving. Make sure that where you're serving. Give your best, 100%. I know even at Watson Temple, we both grew up as children, but at Watson Temple, we honestly gave our all to Watson Temple. Mm-hmm. We were dedicated to Watson Temple. Yes. We were dedicated to the vision of Bishop Shepherd. We helped grow it. And like you, Bishop, I'm confident in knowing that I gave 100%, woke up serving the bishop and helped it grow to great ground. I mean, well, they're a part of it as a young, but help it to grow to a great ground. But then God gave us this, and he told us that you're going to build leaders. Mm-hmm. You're going to build leaders. You're going to birth leaders. And so sometime in that birthing, and we're not intimidated. I can honestly say Pastor Mandrell got to be one of the most humblest, gifted men of God teachers it is. We both are. We give, then we push. We want people to sit, to be successful. We get excited about where they are and what they're doing in life and how they're making things happen. And so one of the things you stated, though, Bishop, God repay. I guess that's for lack of a better word. Give you back. That's what he give you back, what you plant into another man's vision. Matter of fact, he said, until you're faithful over another man, he's not going to give you. Now, you could go out there and start it yourself. Mm-hmm. You could go out there and do it yourself.
Yeah.
But it won't be as successful as it could be.
It's, I mean, like sometimes I think the general population is spoiled by the lack of transparency of leaders.
Wow.
So they're spoiled. They don't get a chance to see, like everybody sees a church popping up everywhere, but ain't nobody talking about the fact that, man, how hard it is to lead a church.
Hello.
How troubling it is when a member leaves the pastor, how much rejection we feel, how insecure sometimes, if we're not careful, we will become, because we're trying to figure out what happened and what did I do wrong. So nobody's talking about those things. We stand up on Sundays and make it look good. Yeah. Make it look like, oh, this is the best thing since sliced bread. And the reality is, man, no, we going home at night sometimes and we're lonely because we can't hang with everybody else. And sometimes people don't want to invite you over because it's going to force them to change behaviors because they got so much respect for you. So nobody's talking about those things. Nobody's talking about why everybody else is sleeping. You're up trying to work on budgets, trying to make sure that other people get paid so they don't get in public and dog you out. Nobody's talking about, the fact that while everybody else is watching football or whatever, you may have to be in the Bible reading to get a word to help somebody else's life, or God may call you to go into an intercessory prayer moment for somebody else when you want to be with your kids at an event as well. So we have been guilty of making this thing look to be so simplistic when there is so much to it. This is the reason why it's necessary to staff yourself right. You got to put people around you so that when you are sick, somebody else can really go on their knees and intercede for the ministry, or get some people around you that have financial expertise so that they can help you recognize we need to cut away from this and cut away from that, so we can really begin to have a more balanced budget. You need individuals around you. You cannot properly lead without individuals. They got to be around you.
Bishop, there's two types of leaders that I want us to. We got the influencer leaders, and then we got the power leaders. And we got the power leader. They seek control, abuse, manipulation. They lead by intimidation.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that because you're an influencer leader, and before we get into that, let's talk about how dangerous it is. And so, y'all, these are leaders. You're either going to be an influencer leader or you're going to be a power leader. And so we're going to talk about that so you could make sure that you don't depend on your power, your position of authority to lead. But let's talk about that, Bishop McRae.
Yeah, John Maxwell talked about this. He talks about the 5 phases of leadership. And in his book, talk about the 5 levels of leadership. One of the levels he talks about is this permission leadership. And so we understand the position leadership says, because this my name, my title, y'all supposed to do. And he described that to be the most ineffective method of leadership. So because your name is Bishop Derrick McRae, everybody's supposed to, just bow down and go by it. No, it's ineffective. He teaches us that the most effective method of leadership is when you get permission leadership, meaning that people see your effect, see your heart, and see your future. I'll say that again. Your effect, your heart, and your future. When they begin to see those 3 things, then they say, you know what? We can get behind this type of leader. Right. And then they give permission to that leader to go forward. We don't have enough people who are interested in being permissional leaders. They're not interested because we have too many individuals still to this day, even in 2023, we still got too many people who are getting into leadership because they never, ever was successful in anything else. And they need somebody to tell what to do. They need to tell somebody how to live their lives. Leadership is not about directing people as much as it is about leading people. Totally different. It's not about commands. It's about helping people to understand courses. They got to know where they're going. Help them navigate themselves on pathways and patterns. Don't be the punisher of individuals who are sitting around here making yourself feel good because you can finally tell somebody what to do because you have a title. If we're going to be effective leaders, we got to chart out courses and then come back and grab the hands of individuals and tell them how to walk those courses. That's what makes us powerful leaders. So you can be powerful. You can be powerful, but be an influencer. So your power should not be in your title. Your power should be in their release of abilities to give to you to say, lead the way for us.
Yeah. And that's what as we go into this, people have to give you permission to lead them. So when they give you the permission to lead them, when they say you're going to be my pastor, or you're going to be my CEO, or you're going to be this, they have given you permission. And if at any time they feel that you are not leading them to the next, everybody want to go to the next, but we got to take care of the now. And you can't be afraid as a leader, as an influencer. It's not like you're doing like this. Sometimes you have to take the horse, put him to the water, and say, drink. Right. So you're showing them in the beginning how to get to the water and how to drink. But the ultimate goal is for them to carve out that path so they can get to the water themselves.
And watch this. And sometimes, Dr. Judy, you got to take them further back to tell them why drinking is necessary. This is a generation that wants to be You got to explain things. This is not because I said so generation no more.
No, sir. No, sir.
Because I said so ain't working no more. Like, hey, do this. Why? Because I said so. Okay, said so. They're gonna sit back and watch how so your say is. Okay, so they're not gonna move on it. But explain to them, hey, water is necessary. And if you don't have water, this, and this can happen to you. So let me give you a solution to make sure that we can be preventative for what could happen to you. This is a season that leadership has to be relational. Show them people how much you care about them. Show them that they matter. Show them that their future is important to you. Show them that the cause for what you're leading them to is not just something to benefit you, but show them and how walking with you is going to benefit them, because that's what they want. That's what they're looking for.
Yeah. Pastor said on Sunday, he said when he go to work, he said he expect the atmosphere to change. So much so until the people at his job wait for him to come in because they know they're going to have a good day. And and as leaders, it's benefiting them. They ask him questions on his job. So in my family, what would you do? Why? Because he has built that relationship. He has built that relationship, and leaders have to be aware. Just because you're Bishop Derrick McRae, don't automatically build a relationship with someone. You have to take the time to build it. And then if you got other people that you have put in place, you have to make sure that they have your spirit and they operate in your spirit, your vision, in talking with the other people. So when they hear Bishop McRae.
Yeah. And watch this, Pastor Judy. You also got to make sure that your spirit is a spirit that you want to be in them.
Hello.
Because your spirit may be. And so, you got to make sure you got the right spirit that you're putting into them. But I would advise leaders today that when you're working with teams, build something in your leadership package or portfolio that has nothing to do with what you're working towards, but just has everything to do with who you're working with. So we got to focus more on the who you with than just what we're doing. So let's work on relationship development. Sometimes I do it, I travel my team sometimes out of town, not because I have to go, just because I need to be on the road with them. I need to show them out of town that, hey, I'm taking y'all to dinner because you matter. I'm in a car riding with them or something, when we're sometimes out of town, and just joking with them because I want to show them, hey, I can relate. And when I do those kind of things, when we come back to Orlando, it's usually the smoothest that we see as we start going to the end of different things that we're trying to plan for, because that relationship has been established.
Wow. Leadership 101, Pastor McRae, what would you say to the people? I'm going to give you these next few minutes just to talk to leaders, like we in one of your classes, that you would just talk to us. Because my prayer is that in 2023, as leaders, we go beyond where we are. We go beyond the surface. And no matter what step you think you're on, I want you to listen to Bishop McRae. This program has been phenomenal. And if you all would, I don't know how many has shared. If you haven't shared, would you please share? Just share on your page. And Bishop, I just want you to talking to us for the next few minutes about the basic principles or things of leadership. Leadership 101, y'all. Bishop Derrick McRae.
I want to give 7 effective skills to help individuals become a better leader. So 7 skills that helps individuals become a better leader. The first thing, as I say, is make sure that we master interpersonal communications. Interpersonal communications. As leaders, communication skills are essential. We got to make sure that we're definitely doing this. Interpersonal communications is the part of this skill set that focuses not only on the words you use, but also on your tone that you use. So how are we talking? What's our body language looking like? How is our facial expressions taking place? Our hand gestures. All these things are necessary. So interpersonal communications. The second thing that I would recommend that everybody does is make sure that you're also participating in active listening. Active listening. People who are working with us now, they want to make sure that they're also heard while they're on board. You know, don't sit me in the boardroom and tell me that I can sit around the table, but I can't have input. I don't want to show back up next week. So you got to make sure that you're actively listening. Number three, I would say, is goal settings. Come on, visionaries. Let's get back to this. We got to get back to setting goals for individuals. Let's set those who work with us up to be successful. Let's set them up not to fail. Let's set them up to be successful. And so goal setting is necessary. Come into the room with the plan already in place. Yeah. Let's make sure that we're telling them what we see, what we feel. Empower them to give them short-term goals to help them achieve those things, so that now they can go out and say, man, guess what I did last week? And you can praise them now for their accomplishments. So I think that's extremely necessary. Diplomacy. Got to make sure that diplomacy is very, very strong as a leader as well. As a leader, it's critical. That we're able to simultaneously support and make sure we're supporting other kind of goals. Don't let everything be about what you're doing. Set your team up to also help other teams out. Show that we're in a collaborative effort. If everything that your team is building on is all about building what you're working on, they're going to get distracted. So outreach is necessary. Maybe even working sometimes with like-minded teams that have different missions within your communities is necessary. Teaching them a collaborative effort. How does what you do fit in with the entire world? How does it fit in with your city? How does it fit in with your state? How does it fit in with your denomination? So that diplomacy is necessary. I think the other thing, number 5, is we got to really work on conflict resolutions. Yes. Conflict resolutions. Let's make sure now, understanding that on teams, man, with highly qualified people, you're gonna have disagreements. I think about this summer, we watched the Golden State Warriors. Draymond Green swung on Jordan Poole. You know, 2 highly qualified players. There's gonna be some dissension there, but how did they get them back together? How did they get them back together to function together? And as leaders, we got to make sure we work on this conflict resolution, because it's going to be a great mind over here and a great mind over here. And this mind is going to be strong on their opinion. This mind going to be strong on their opinion. How do we get the two to come together? It's going to take leadership. Leadership got to do that. Number 6, I would say, is motivational. Got to make sure that we keep a motivational tone to us. Give people permission to fail, and then you build them back up. Give them permission to fail. Don't make it such a strong tension place that they're nervous about failing. You're going to literally squeeze out or muzzle all creativities that your team may have, because they don't have any inspiration to know that I have a platform that I can fail. So give them a platform to fail, because when you're trying something extraordinary, it's called risky. And you got to give people permission to be risky. It's in that risk that you get that crazy stuff. And then the last thing I'll say is decisiveness. Man, you're the leader. You got to make a decision. As a leader, you got to come up with something. And then once you like, give people room to give input, but when you've made a decision, it's the decision. And don't walk back on your decision. Be decisive. Don't be all over the place. Don't be going with the next trend or whoever else is saying something. Figure out who you are, figure out your mission, figure out your purpose, figure out your focus, and then be decisive. Give room for input in the interim. But when you make that decision, be decisive. That's what I would say to you for those who are working to be an effective leader, especially in today's time.
Bishop Derrick McRae, y'all, the Experience Christian Center in Orlando, Florida. My brother, my friend, my mentor, he is. And y'all, I talk to him all the time. Y'all got to see, you see why I'm so good? Because I surround myself with great people. Yeah, that great team that I have. Bishop, thank you for everything you have poured into us today. We greatly appreciate it. This lunch and learn with you today have been powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to share it. Go back and listen to it so you can take notes. Man, I can't wait to go back so I can sit down and take notes and get these principles. We're going to see this on Facebook. You can play it again on Facebook. You can play it over and over. Take it to your team. Take it unto yourself. Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you all for making all the comments and chiming in. We appreciate you, Bishop. We appreciate you. You have been great for us today. Thank you for taking time out. I will get with you because we're going to have lunch and learn with Dr. Judy and Bishop McRae. Yeah, that sounds good. I like that. And so I want to thank you, and thank you for always pouring. Thank you for always sharing, and thank you for always improving yourself. So any last words?
Hey, tell everybody I'm doing my conference again this year, Stretch Conference. Last year was phenomenal. So we're going to have another Stretch Conference coming up in the month of December. You can go to DerrickLMcRae.com, DerrickLMcRae.com, and you can see more information about the upcoming Stretch Conference as well. But also follow me on social media, Facebook, the Gram, LinkedIn, even TikTok. You can find me on all of them. I'll be dancing on TikTok and stuff, trying to get jiggy with it. And so you can find me at Derrick L. McRae for all those handles as well.
And of course, I don't know what jiggy means, but I'm sure it means something. I'm going to try to get jiggy too. So
you could do it.
I'm going to get jiggy too. So on February the 13th, y'all mark your calendar, February the 13th, I'm celebrating my 64th birthday here in Tallahassee at Hotel Indigo. I'm going to see if I can get jiggy. I'll learn what it means by then. But y'all, listen, if you're not ready to dance and have fun, don't come. Don't come.
That's right.
I just want you to know right now, don't come because you may be offended. We do line dances and stuff, Pastor. Anyway, that's a whole.
What's your business? You do whatever you want to do.
Thank you. And y'all got to understand, and God is moving and blessing with that. And that's a whole nother subject. But again, Bishop, thank you. Y'all tune in tonight at 7:30 to our Bible study with the one and only Superintendent Gerald Mandrell, our senior pastor. And then I invite you back Sunday morning to tune in. And no matter what you do, always remember that Dr. Judy with the Real Talk with Judy live radio show always have you in mind. We're pushing you, we're inspiring you, and you are the reason I do what I do, because I see you in the future. And sisters and brothers, you are soaring. There's so much you are accomplished. That real talk. That's real talk.
Real talk with Judy. Real talk with Judy on the radio.